sleepy travelers, to mythology for sleep. Tonight, we journey to ancient Egypt, where the mighty sun god Ra faces a difficult choice in the face of human rebellion. We'll discover how his anger gives birth to the fearsome goddess Sekhmet, and the surprising way he later repents. Settle in, get cozy, and let's drift into the tale of Ra and Sekhmet. But just before we begin, if our stories help you drift off, please tap the like and subscribe buttons. In my channel, you can find Norse, Greek, and Egyptian mythology tales. Comment and tell me which myth you'd like to hear next. Your support helps us craft and shape more calm stories for fellow night owls. And now let your shoulders sink softly into the mattress and your mind drift into today's tale. The world began with light, a golden, shimmering dawn. Ra, the great creator, had willed it so. His essence, pure and radiant, flowed into every corner. From his very being, the land unfurled, vast and fertile. Rivers like silver ribbons wound through verdant plains. Mountains, majestic and ancient, touched the sky. Trees, heavy with fruit, offered sweet sustenance. Flowers in every hue painted the earth. Humans, Ra's most cherished creation, walked this paradise. They were born of his tears, tears of joy and profound love. Their hearts, then, were open and pure. They lived in perfect harmony with the world. Each morning, they greeted the rising sun. They offered humble prayers of thanks. Their voices, like a gentle chorus, filled the air. They revered Ra above all else. This was the Golden Age, a time of unparalleled peace. No shadows marred the land. No discord fractured the spirit. Life flowed, serene and effortless. Ra watched from his celestial bark. He sailed across the heavens daily. His luminous gaze encompassed everything. A quiet contentment filled his divine heart. He saw the children playing in meadows. Their laughter, light and free, drifted upwards. He saw the elders sharing wisdom. Their faces, etched with peace, reflected the sun. Humans understood their place. They were stewards of Ra's bounty. They lived simply, needing little. Their days were filled with honest labor. They tilled the rich soil. They harvested the abundant crops. They shared generously with one another. There was no want, no scarcity. The air hummed with contentment. A gentle breeze whispered through the palms. The sun, Ra himself, warmed their skin. This was the world as it should be. Yet even in perfection, time moved onward. Days became weeks, then months. Seasons turned soft and predictable. The very constancy began to subtly shift something. A quiet hum began to change. A note, almost imperceptible, altered the melody. Ra, ever watchful, sensed it first. A faint tremor disturbed his peace. He saw small gestures, easily dismissed. A moment of impatience, quickly forgotten. A flicker of envy, quickly suppressed. These were tiny ripples in a vast, calm sea. He observed a mother hoarding fruit, just a little more than she needed. Her eyes held a flicker of possessiveness. It was a new expression. He saw a young man grumble about his share. He felt it was less than his neighbor S. A subtle dissatisfaction etched his brow. This was another new emotion. These were whispers, not shouts. They were shadows, not darkness. But Ra, who knew the very essence of light, recognized their presence. He felt a pang of unease. He continued his daily journey. He guided his solar bark across the sky. His light still bathed the world, but his heart held a growing question. Had his love been too generous? Had his bounty been too vast? Had perfection, perhaps, bred complacency? These thoughts, like tiny thorns, pricked at him. He saw the reverence begin to wane. The morning prayers became shorter. The offerings, once heartfelt, grew smaller. A certain casualness entered their worship. Humans began to take things for granted. The endless sunshine, the flowing rivers, the fertile earth, the abundant harvest. These gifts became expected, not cherished. Their attention turned inward. They focused on their own desires. Their needs, once simple, began to multiply. Want, a stranger, crept into their hearts. Ra watched the children. They still played, but with less joy. A competitive edge entered their games. They argued over toys, over space. He observed the elders. Their wisdom was still shared, but a hint of cynicism tinged their words. They spoke of the good old days. The subtle shift became more pronounced. Whispers grew into murmurs, murmurs into low complaints. The harmony, though still dominant, wavered. Ra felt a deep disappointment. It was not anger, not yet. It was the sorrow of a parent. A child, once innocent, choosing a different path. He saw them hoard their possessions. They built walls around their homes. They began to differentiate, to separate. The collective spirit began to fracture. They started to judge one another. They compared their harvests, their clothes. Envy, a bitter weed, took root. It spread silently through the land. The sun still warmed their skin. The rivers still quenched their thirst. But humans seemed less aware of it. They attributed their blessings to themselves. We worked hard, they would say. We deserve this abundance. Their self-reliance grew. Their gratitude diminished. Ra heard these words. They echoed in the vastness of heaven. Each word, a tiny shard, pierced his heart. His divine peace fractured. He observed a group of young men. They argued over a fishing spot. Their voices grew loud, then angry. A push, a shove, it was new. He saw a woman weeping. Her neighbor had taken her share of grain. It was a small theft, but significant. It had never happened before. The innocence was fading. A shadow, thin yet persistent, stretched across the land. It was a shadow of human choice. It was a shadow of human will. Ra's concern deepened. He felt a quiet unease. It settled in his very core. The world he had created was changing. He looked towards the distant stars. They shimmered, indifferent. He looked at the vast, empty void. He felt a profound loneliness. He was the creator, the benevolent ruler. He had given them everything, and now they turned away. Not violently, not defiantly, just slowly, subtly. The other gods, too, began to notice. Thoth, the wise ibis-headed god, observed from his scrolls. His brow, usually serene, furrowed slightly. He saw the patterns changing. The flow of human thought shifted. Logic gave way to desire. Harmony surrendered to discord. Thoth recorded everything. His stylus moved across papyrus. He documented the subtle decline. His heart, too, felt a quiet sorrow. Ta, the master craftsman, also watched. He saw the shift in human endeavors. Their creations became less about beauty. They became more about utility, about gain. He saw them build fences. He saw them forge tools of aggression. Not weapons yet, but the potential lingered. Ta, the artisan, felt a chill. These gods, ancient and powerful, understood. They knew the delicate balance. They recognized the seeds of discontent. They watched, but did not interfere. Not yet. Ra's will was supreme. His decision alone would guide them. They waited for his divine decree. Ra continued his silent vigil. He saw the human spirit dimming. The vibrant colors of their souls faded. A dull gray began to spread. He remembered the first humans, their eyes wide with wonder, their hands open in prayer, their hearts pure as the morning dew. Now their eyes held calculation, their hands clenched with greed, their hearts clouded with self-interest. The transformation was heartbreaking. He saw them neglect the temples. Dust gathered on the altars. The offerings dwindled to mere tokens. Their connection to the divine weakened. They still acknowledged him in passing. Ra gives us the sun, they might say, but it was a statement of fact, not an expression of awe. The reverence had become routine. The gratitude, a forgotten whisper. Their focus narrowed to the earthly. The heavenly receded from their minds. Ra felt the weight of his creation. The responsibility pressed upon him. He had given them freedom. He had given them choice. And they had chosen this path. A path of increasing self-absorption. A path of waning devotion. A path that led away from him. The quiet unease in heaven grew. It was a palpable tension. The very air seemed to thicken. The celestial spheres held their breath. Ra's disappointment deepened. It was a profound sadness. It was the realization that perfection, once given, could be lost. It could be squandered. He knew he could not ignore it. The whispers were growing louder. The discontent was spreading. It was a slow-acting poison. His benevolent rule, was it enough? His limitless love, had it been too much? These questions tormented him. They clouded his luminous mind. He remembered the early days, the joyful songs of humanity, the sweet scent of their devotion, the pure light of their souls. Now the songs were discordant, the scent of their prayers faint, the light of their souls flickering. The contrast was stark. He saw the first acts of defiance, not against him directly, but against the order he had established, against the harmony he had instilled. A young man refused to share his catch. He had more than enough, but he guarded it fiercely. He turned away those in need. A woman claimed land as her own. It had always been for all. Now she fenced it off. She denied others access. These were small acts, seemingly insignificant, but they chipped away at the foundation. They eroded the very fabric of society. Ra felt a cold dread. He knew where this path led. He knew the consequences of such choices. He had seen it in other realms. He had created the world from nothing. He had brought order from chaos. He had breathed life into existence. And now, his creations threatened that order. His heart, heavy with sorrow, pulsed. The light of his being flickered slightly. It was a moment of profound introspection, a moment of divine doubt. Had he erred in his creation? Had he given them too much freedom? Could they truly govern themselves? The answer, increasingly, seemed to be no. The world below, once a mirror of heaven, was clouding. The pure reflections blurred. The clear waters became murky. The golden age was tarnishing. Ra, the great god, felt a growing anger. It was not a sudden burst. It was a slow, simmering heat, a divine indignation. He had given them everything. They had given him so little in return. And now they were eroding his perfect world. They were defiling his creation. The whispers of discontent became shouts. Arguments erupted more frequently. Theft, once unthinkable, became common. Violence, once unknown, began to stir. He saw the fear in their eyes. They feared each other now. They feared scarcity. They feared loss. These were new emotions. The innocence was gone, replaced by suspicion, replaced by greed, replaced by a cold, calculating self-interest. Ra felt a deep, profound sadness. It was a sorrow that permeated the heavens. It touched the very stars. It resonated through the cosmos. He knew he had to act. The balance was tipping. The harmony was breaking. His beloved creation was heading towards ruin. The decision stirred within him. A terrible, necessary thought. A solution that would reshape the world. A judgment that would alter destiny. He looked down upon the earth. The beautiful, vibrant earth. So full of life, so full of promise. Now, tinged with human discord. His gaze lingered on the humans. Their faces, once open and joyful, now etched with worry and greed. The transformation was complete. The golden age was fading. The whispers of discontent had become a roar. Ra's peace, once absolute, was shattered. The heavens held their breath. The sun god Ra, mighty and ancient, felt a deep sorrow. His golden light, usually so warm, now seemed to dim. Humanity, his beloved creation, had strayed far indeed. Their whispered treachery reached even his lofty throne. a shimmering edifice of light and cosmic dust, high above the highest clouds, where stars twinkled like distant, knowing eyes. A profound disappointment settled heavy upon his heart, a cold stone in the fiery core of his being. He had given them life. He had given them the fertile lands, rich with the life-giving Nile, where crops grew tall and abundant. Yet they plotted against him, their creator. Their ingratitude stung him deeply, like 1,000 tiny scorpion stings, each one a memory of a blessing turned to bitterness. Ra's thoughts drifted back to the very beginning, to a time before time, when only he existed in the vast, silent dark. He remembered the void, the primordial waters of none, stretching endlessly, a cosmic womb. He remembered speaking the world into existence, each word a burst of creation, shaping it with his divine will, sculpting mountains and valleys, rivers and seas. He had breathed life into the first humans, guiding them with a gentle hand, a soft, encouraging whisper that nurtured their nascent souls. He had watched them learn, grow, and flourish, a tender parent observing their beloved children. Now their whispers turned to shouts of defiance, echoing like discordant gongs through the celestial halls. Their hands, once raised in prayer, seeking his benevolent light, now clenched in rebellion, preparing to strike. This betrayal felt like a cold, sharp blade, honed by their ingratitude and plunged directly into the very core of his being, twisting with each new act of defiance. The vibrant hues of the cosmos around him seemed to lose their luster, dulled by the weight of his profound disappointment. He closed his eyes, a vast, luminous orb that encompassed galaxies within its depths. He sought counsel within himself, within the ancient wisdom he embodied, a wisdom as old as the universe itself. But the pain of betrayal overshadowed all else, a blinding fog obscuring his usual clarity. His patience, boundless as the sky, stretching from horizon to horizon, began to wane, fraying at the edges like an ancient tapestry. The murmurs of humanity's discontent grew louder, no longer whispers, but a roar of ingratitude. They echoed through the celestial halls, disturbing the tranquil hum of creation, the gentle song of the spheres. Ra's peaceful contemplation, usually a serene lake of thought, was shattered, its surface rippled by the clamor from below. The scent of their rebellion, acrid and bitter, wafted up to his throne, mingling with the sweet fragrance of cosmic dust. He decided to seek advice from the elder gods, those who had witnessed the dawn of existence. They understood the delicate balance of creation, the intricate dance of order and chaos. They knew the weight of divine responsibility, the heavy crown of stewardship. Perhaps they could offer solace or a path forward, a way to mend what was broken without shattering it entirely. First, he turned to Nun, the primeval waters. Nun, the source of all things, was vast and silent, shimmering with an ethereal blue light that pulsed with the very breath of creation. Ra's thoughts flowed into Nun's depths, like rivers seeking the ocean, their turbulent currents calming as they merged with the boundless stillness. He spoke of his heavy heart, his profound disappointment, his voice a low, resonant hum that vibrated through the cosmic ether. Nun, Ra's voice resonated, a deep, cosmic hum that seemed to stir the very fabric of reality. My children, humanity, have turned against me. They plan rebellion. Their hearts are filled with darkness, a shadow growing where once there was only light. None remained still, an endless expanse of calm, its surface like polished obsidian reflecting the distant stars. Yet, Ra felt an ancient understanding emanating from the waters, a profound empathy that transcended words. None knew the ebb and flow of creation, the inevitable cycles of growth and decay, the eternal dance of birth and dissolution. The water felt cool and soothing against Ra's divine essence, a momentary reprieve from the burning sting of betrayal. They forget their origin, Ra continued, his voice tinged with sadness, a mournful echo in the vastness. They forget the gifts I bestowed, the fertile lands, the warmth of the sun upon their skin, the cool water that quenched their thirst. They forget the very breath they draw, the life that flows through their veins, which came from me. A gentle ripple, almost imperceptible, spread across Nun's surface. It was not a voice, but a feeling, a sense of weary wisdom, of ancient patience. Nun understood the unpredictable nature of nascent life, the stumbling steps of those just beginning to walk the path of existence. None understood the potential for both light and shadow, the inherent duality within all creation. None offered no direct solution, no pronouncement of judgment. Instead, Nun's presence was a balm, a cool compress on Ra's burning heart. It was a reminder of the primordial order, the deep, unchanging currents beneath the surface of fleeting events. It was a silent acknowledgement of Ra's immense burden, a shared understanding that transcended the need for words. Next, Ra turned to Thoth, the god of wisdom and knowledge. Thoth, with his ibis head, stood poised and thoughtful, his feathers the color of twilight, his eyes like polished obsidian reflecting the wisdom of ages. He carried a scribe's palette, ready to record the universe's unfolding story, each stroke a testament to the intricate tapestry of existence. The air around Thoth hummed with the quiet energy of countless scrolls and ancient texts, a gentle rustle of knowledge. Thoth, Ra began, his voice still heavy, carrying the weight of his sorrow. Humanity's ingratitude wounds me. Their plots against me grow bolder, their defiance a festering wound. What counsel do you offer, wise one? Thoth listened intently, his wise eyes unblinking, observing Ra with a deep, compassionate understanding. He understood the intricacies of the human heart, its capacity for both brilliance and profound darkness. He knew the subtle currents of thought and intention that flowed beneath the surface of their actions. He had observed humanity for eons, charting their progress and their follies. Great Ra, Thoth's voice was calm, like a quiet stream flowing over smooth stones, its sound a gentle murmur. Their folly is great. Their vision is clouded, obscured by their own burgeoning pride and limited understanding. They forget the source of their blessings, mistaking the gifts for their own achievements. Thoth paused, considering his words carefully, choosing them with the precision of a master scribe. Yet, remember their youth, great Ra. Remember their fragile understanding, their fledgling grasp of the cosmos. They are but nascent beings, learning the ways of the cosmos, stumbling through the vastness of existence. Like children, they test boundaries, often without truly comprehending the consequences. Ra felt a flicker of impatience, a spark of his divine fire. Their ignorance does not excuse their malice, Thoth. Their plots threaten the very order I established, the harmony that binds all things. They must be taught a lesson, a harsh one, if necessary. The air around Ra crackled faintly, a subtle warning of his rising anger. Thoth nodded slowly, acknowledging Ra's pain, the profound hurt that fueled his righteous anger. Indeed, a lesson may be necessary. But consider the cost, great Ra. Consider the ripple effect through creation, the unintended consequences that can spread far beyond the intended target. Justice, when swift and unyielding, can be a destructive force, breaking what it seeks to mend. Their rebellion is unyielding, Ra countered, his voice gaining a steely edge, hardening with resolve. Their treachery is a festering wound that threatens the harmony of all things, a poison spreading through the world I so carefully crafted. The golden light around him intensified, no longer merely warm, but beginning to radiate a subtle heat. Thoth offered a gentle warning, a subtle caution, his voice unwavering. Mercy tempers justice, great Ra. A harsh hand can break what it seeks to mend, leaving only ruin in its wake. Wisdom lies in balance, in finding the precise measure that corrects without destroying, that teaches without annihilating. Ra considered Thoth's words. He valued Thoth's insight, his profound understanding of cosmic law. But the burning sense of betrayal still raged within him, a scorching fire in his divine heart. His divine patience was wearing thin, stretched to its absolute limit. The desire for justice, for retribution, for them to understand the enormity of their transgression, grew stronger, overshadowing the counsel of wisdom. He saw humanity's flourishing cities below, sprawling like intricate patterns across the fertile lands, their bustling markets alive with commerce and chatter. He saw their families, their laughter echoing in the evening air, their loves blooming like desert flowers after rain. All these gifts, born from his grace, nurtured by his light. Yet, they sought to usurp his power, to cast him down from his throne. They sought to dethrone their creator, to claim sovereignty over a world they did not make. The thought ignited a fiery spark within him, a tiny ember that quickly grew into an inferno, a spark of righteous anger, a spark of divine indignation. This spark grew, fed by his profound disappointment, by their blatant betrayal, by the very ingratitude that now consumed his thoughts. He remembered the power of his eye. It was not merely an organ of sight, a golden orb that surveyed the cosmos. It was a conduit of his divine will, a direct extension of his essence. It was the embodiment of his creative and destructive force. It had brought light to the darkness of none, calling forth the world. It could also bring the fire of judgment, a cleansing blaze. The decision solidified within him, hardening like cooled lava. It was a heavy decision, born of a heavy heart, burdened by the weight of their betrayal. But it was a necessary one. Humanity needed to remember its place. It needed to understand the consequences of its actions, the terrible price of defiance against the divine. He would not destroy them utterly. Not yet, not all at once, but he would send a message, a clear, undeniable message, a message of his wrath, his unwavering authority, a reminder of the power they dared to challenge. Ra's gaze hardened. His golden light intensified, no longer warm and benevolent, but searing and intense, radiating an unyielding power. The air around him shimmered with raw power, vibrating with the force of his divine will. The celestial halls resonated with his resolve, a deep hum that pulsed through the very foundations of creation. He closed his mighty eye. It glowed with an inner fire, like a miniature sun, burning with concentrated power. The heat emanating from it became palpable, a scorching wave that swept through the celestial realms. It pulsed with the concentrated essence of his divine fury, a controlled explosion of cosmic energy. From this incandescent orb, a transformation began. The golden light swirled, coalescing, drawing inward. It narrowed, focusing its immense energy, compressing it into a singular, intensely bright point. It became a focal point of pure, unadulterated power, a crucible of divine wrath. A low, guttural growl began to emanate from the swirling light, a sound that vibrated through the very bones of the cosmos. It was a sound of primal ferocity, ancient and terrifying. It was the sound of unleashed power, of a predator awakening. It was the sound of Ra's simmering rage made manifest, given form and voice. The light pulsed, growing brighter, more intense, blinding in its brilliance. It began to take shape, morphing and shifting with incredible speed. First, a feline form emerged, powerful and sleek, its muscles rippling beneath luminous, golden fur. Then, a distinct head, crowned with a sun disk, began to solidify, its features sharp and regal. The sun disk, symbol of Ra's own power, sat atop the emerging form's head, radiating miniature sunbeams. A rearing cobra, the uraeus, symbol of protection and sovereignty, coiled protectively before it. Its hood flared, its fangs bared. It was a symbol of divine authority, of fierce protection, of unyielding judgment. The form solidified, growing larger, more defined, until it stood before him, immense and awe-inspiring. It was a lioness, magnificent and terrifying in her raw power. Her eyes, burning like molten gold, fixed upon the distant world below, a world she was destined to judge. They held the same fiery resolve as Ra's own, a mirror of his unwavering decision. Her mane, a fiery cascade of golden and crimson light, billowed around her head, alive with crackling energy. Her limbs were powerful, muscled, coiled with immense strength, ready to spring. Her claws, sharp as obsidian blades, extended slightly from her massive paws, glinting with a predatory gleam. Every inch of her radiated immense strength, a dormant volcano waiting to erupt. This was Sekhmet. Her name, meaning she who is powerful, suited her perfectly, a testament to her inherent might. She was the embodiment of Ra's rage, his justice, his destructive might. She was born from his very essence, a direct manifestation of his wrath. She stood before Ra, immense and awe-inspiring. Her presence filled the celestial space, pushing back the very stars with her raw power. The air crackled with her power, thick with ozone and the scent of judgment. The other gods, even the stoic Thoth and the boundless Nun, recoiled slightly, a shiver running through their ancient forms. Her raw energy was overwhelming, a force of nature unleashed. Sekhmet let out a roar. It was a sound that shook the heavens, vibrating through the emptiness of space. It echoed through the cosmos, a warning to all who heard it, a primal scream of impending judgment. It was the sound of divine judgment unleashed, a declaration of consequence. Ra looked upon his creation, his furious daughter. A grim satisfaction settled upon his features, a cold resolve. This was the instrument of his will. This was the vessel of his righteous anger. Humanity would now understand the depth of his power, the terrible price of their defiance. Sekhmet's eyes, burning with fire, turned towards the distant world, a tiny blue marble hanging in the vastness. She sensed the treachery, the defiance, the ingratitude that had birthed her. She felt the call of her Creator's anger, a burning purpose etched into her very being. Her purpose was clear, undeniable. A primal hunger stirred within her, a deep, instinctual craving, a hunger for justice, a hunger for retribution. She was born to punish, to cleanse, to restore order to a world teetering on the brink of chaos. She was Ra's furious heart made flesh, a living embodiment of his righteous indignation. Her very breath was like a desert wind, hot and dry, carrying the scent of impending doom. Her shadow fell upon the world, a dark omen cast across the sun-drenched lands. Her presence alone was enough to strike terror into the hearts of mortals, a chilling premonition of the storm to come. Ra watched her, a silent observer, his gaze unwavering. He had unleashed a force of nature. He had brought forth a goddess of unparalleled power, forged in the crucible of his wrath. Her birth was a testament to his might, a terrifying display of his authority. He felt a momentary relief, a lessening of the immense burden that had weighed upon him. The burden of his decision, though heavy, was now shared. Sekhmet would carry out his will. Sekhmet would deliver the harsh lesson, the painful truth that would remind humanity of its place. The celestial halls remained silent, save for Sekhmet's powerful presence, a palpable hum of energy. The other gods watched, their expressions a mixture of awe and apprehension, their ancient eyes reflecting the fiery glow of the lioness. They understood the gravity of this moment, the profound shift in the cosmic balance. Sekhmet shifted her weight, her massive paws sinking slightly into the ethereal floor of the celestial realm, leaving faint, glowing impressions. She was ready. Her purpose burned bright within her, a consuming fire. Her roar echoed once more, a final declaration, a promise of the storm to come. The stage was set. The instrument of divine judgment had been forged. Humanity, in its arrogance, was about to face the wrath of its creator. The world held its breath, unknowingly awaiting the dawn of a terrible new day. A low rumble began. It vibrated through the very air. The sky above shifted ominously. Dark clouds swirled, their edges tinged with an angry, fiery red. A distant, guttural growl echoed. It grew louder. It grew more insistent. The sound was primal, ancient. It promised immense power. It promised immense destruction. Then she descended. Sekhmet plummeted from the heavens. Her form was a blur of golden light. It was a blur of burning fury. She landed with catastrophic force. The earth beneath her buckled. It groaned under the impact. Dust plumes billowed high. They reached for the bruised sky. A crater formed instantly. It was deep and wide. The air crackled around her. It smelled of ozone and ash. Her eyes blazed. They were twin suns of vengeance. Her mane, a fiery halo, flared. It danced with destructive energy. Her roar erupted then. It tore through the atmosphere. It ripped through the very fabric of reality. This was no ordinary sound. It was the sound of 1,000 lions. It was the sound of a raging inferno. It was the sound of divine wrath unleashed. The land trembled violently. Mountains seemed to shudder. Rivers churned in their beds. Trees swayed precariously. Animals bolted in terror. They scattered in every direction. Birds screamed, disoriented. They fell from the sky. Humans fell to their knees. They clutched their heads in despair. The sound alone promised ruin. It promised an end to all things. Sekhmet did not pause. She did not hesitate. Her first steps were heavy. They were deliberate. Each stride shook the ground. The earth cracked beneath her paws. She moved with terrible grace. She moved with unstoppable purpose. Her target was humanity. Her target was their arrogance. Her target was their disobedience. Cities once bustling fell silent. Their vibrant energy evaporated. Fear, cold and sharp, gripped every heart. Panic began to spread. It moved like a wildfire. People screamed, they wept. They ran aimlessly. They bumped into each other. They tripped and fell. There was nowhere to hide. There was nowhere to escape. Her claws extended. They were razor sharp. They gleamed with a cruel light. She swiped at a towering structure. It was a temple dedicated to Ra. The stone crumbled instantly. It turned to dust. The walls imploded inward. The The roof collapsed with a roar. A cloud of debris rose. It choked the very air. She advanced further. Her path was destruction. Homes were flattened. Fields were scorched. What was once fertile land, it became barren waste. The vibrant greens faded. They turned to ash and brown. The air grew thick with dust. It grew thick with the smell of smoke. The world was changing. It was changing irreversibly. A group of villagers huddled. They were in a small clearing. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with terror. They had heard the roar. They had felt the ground shake. They knew what was coming. They knew their fate was sealed. One old woman wept openly. She clutched a small child. The child whimpered softly. Sekhmet approached them. Her shadow loomed large. It cast them in darkness. Her eyes burned into theirs. There was no pity there. There was only cold, hard judgment. Her roar echoed again. It was closer now. It was deafening. The villagers screamed. Their pleas were swallowed. They were swallowed by the roar. Chaos reigned supreme. Order dissolved completely. The threads of civilization unraveled. They unraveled with terrifying speed. People fought each other. They fought for escape. They fought for survival. But there was no escape. There was no true survival. Not from divine wrath. Not from Sekhmet's fury. The rivers turned red. They flowed with human blood. The land became a graveyard. It was littered with bodies. The screams faded slowly. They were replaced by silence. It was an eerie silence. It was the silence of desolation. The world was being remade. It was being remade by destruction. Ra watched from above. He was in his celestial barge. His gaze was steady. His expression was unreadable. He saw the devastation. He saw the suffering. He had initiated this. He had willed it into being. This was necessary, he thought. This was a cleansing fire. Humanity had strayed too far. They had forgotten their place. The cries of the innocent reached him. They were faint whispers. They were carried on the wind. He heard the despair. He heard the terror. A flicker of something stirred. It was deep within him. It was a tiny, nascent doubt. Was this truly the way? Was this the only solution? He remembered their laughter. He remembered their devotion. He remembered the songs they sang. They sang in his honor. He remembered their prayers. They were offered with pure hearts. But then came the whispers. Then came the defiance. Then came the rebellion. They had slandered his name. They had plotted against him. Sekhmet continued her work. She moved with untiring energy. Her rage fueled her. Her purpose guided her. She was the instrument. She was Ra's vengeance. She was the executioner. She was the bringer of justice. Her power seemed boundless. Her fury seemed eternal. The sun, Ra's own essence, dimmed. It seemed to reflect the mood. It cast a somber glow. The once golden rays, they were now tinged with red. They were tinged with gray. The air grew heavy. It was heavy with grief. It was heavy with loss. Ra observed a woman. She was holding her child. She tried to shield him. She tried to protect him. Sekhmet's shadow fell. It covered them completely. The woman cried out. Her voice was raw with pain. Ra saw the child's eyes. They were wide with innocence. They were wide with fear. A memory surfaced then. It was from long ago. It was of creation itself. He had breathed life into them. He had sculpted them from clay. He had given them consciousness. He had given them free will. He had loved them once. He truly had. He saw the destruction. He saw the utter ruin. The world was being unmade. It was unraveling before him. The balance was shifting. It was shifting too far. The scales were tipping. They were tipping towards annihilation. Was this what he wanted? Was this his true desire? The purpose had been clear. Punishment was required. A lesson must be learned. Respect must be restored. But this was more. This was not just punishment. This was utter devastation. This was total eradication. The world would be empty. It would be barren and silent. Sekhmet's roar echoed again. It was a triumphant sound. It was a sound of victory. But it sounded hollow now. It sounded empty to Ra. The victory felt tainted. It felt stained with blood. It felt heavy with regret. He saw the land. It was scarred and broken. He saw the rivers. They ran red with sorrow. He saw the air. It was thick with dust. It was thick with despair. The silence that followed. It was not peaceful. It was horrifying. A tiny doubt had formed. It was a small seed. It had begun to sprout. It was growing stronger. It was growing roots. It was growing within his heart. He had unleashed a force. He had unleashed a power. It was beyond his control. It was beyond his initial intent. Sekhmet was not slowing. She was not relenting. Her thirst for blood, her hunger for justice, it seemed insatiable. It seemed endless. She moved from one city to another. She moved from one village to the next. The pattern was the same. Destruction followed her. The sun began to set. It dipped below the horizon. The red glow intensified. It painted the sky. It painted the ruined land. It was a gruesome tableau. It was a scene of horror. Ra watched it all. He watched it unfold. His brow furrowed slightly. It was almost imperceptible, a ripple of unease. It spread through his being. He had sought order. He had sought balance. But what remained now? Only chaos. Only destruction. Only death. The scent of blood. It rose to the heavens. It filled the air around him. It was acrid and sharp. It was sickening. He felt a pang. It was a strange sensation. It was something akin to remorse. It was something akin to regret. He saw his creation. It was being undone. It was being unmade by his own hand, by his own decree. The irony was bitter. It was a cruel realization. He had sought to save them. He had sought to guide them. But he had doomed them instead. The moon began to rise. It cast a pale light. It illuminated the ruins. It illuminated the fallen. The world was quiet now. It was the quiet of the grave. The silence was profound. It was terrifying. Ra's heart was heavy. It was weighed down by sorrow. He had underestimated her fury. He had underestimated her power. He had unleashed a monster. He had unleashed a force. It could not be stopped. It could not be controlled. He looked at Sekhmet. She was a silhouette. She was against the moon. Her eyes still blazed. Her form still pulsed. She was an unstoppable force. She was a relentless machine. She was his vengeance. She was his mistake. The vastness of space. It surrounded his barge. The stars glittered. They shone indifferently. They offered no comfort. They offered no solace. He was alone with his thoughts. He was alone with his doubts. His hands clenched. They gripped the railing. He felt powerless. He felt helpless. He had set this in motion. He could not stop it. Not yet, at least. He needed a plan. He needed a solution. The world below continued to burn. It continued to bleed. Sekhmet's work was not done. Her rampage was not over. The night would be long. It would be filled with terror. It would be filled with death. Ra sighed deeply. The sound was inaudible. It was lost in the void. He closed his eyes briefly. He saw the faces. He saw the fear. He saw the pain. He saw the innocence. This was not what he intended. This was not his true will. This was an overcorrection. This was a grave error. The cost was too high. The price was too steep. He had to intervene. He had to stop her. But how? How could he stop her? She was his own creation. She was a part of him. She was his divine rage. She was his unleashed fury. He had given her purpose. He had given her power. The air grew colder. It grew stiller. The silence deepened. It was broken only by the crackle. It was the crackle of distant fires. It was the sound of a world dying. Ra opened his eyes again. His gaze was firm. It was resolute. The doubt was gone now. It was replaced by determination. He had to fix this. He had to end this. He had to save them, even if it meant confronting her. Even if it meant stopping her. Even if it meant defying his own will. The destruction must cease. The slaughter must end. The world must be saved. He turned his barge. He steered it closer. He observed Sekhmet. Her form was tireless. Her movements were swift. She was a whirlwind of death. She was an avatar of destruction. The sun would rise again. But what would it see? A barren wasteland. A silent world. No, not if he could help it. Not if he could stop her. His resolve hardened. His purpose became clear. He would find a way. He would find a solution. He would save humanity. He would restore the balance. He would end Sekhmet's fury. He would end this nightmare. The night deepened around him. The stars watched silently. The world waited. The sun, once a comforting presence, now burned with a fierce and terrible light. Its rays, usually golden and warm, cast long, distorted shadows across the ravaged lands. Sekhmet's fury, unbridled and relentless, continued its devastating march. Each roaring stride shook the very foundations of the earth. Dust clouds, thick and acrid, billowed into the sky. They choked the air with the scent of destruction. The once vibrant emerald fields had become barren wastes of scorched earth. Rivers, once teeming with life, now flowed with a crimson current. Her golden eyes, once reflecting the sun's benevolent gaze, now blazed with an infernal fire. They saw only the transgressions of humanity. Every living thing, every fleeting breath, seemed to fuel her insatiable rage. She was an unstoppable force of divine retribution. The cries of the remaining humans were faint, desperate whispers on the wind. They huddled in caves, beneath crumbling ruins, anywhere offering a sliver of false hope. Their faces, etched with terror, were pale and drawn. Their eyes, wide with fear, mirrored a world consumed by chaos. They remembered the stories, the ancient tales of a time before. They spoke of fertile lands and bountiful harvests. Now, only the chilling roar of Sekhmet punctuated the silence of their despair. Their prayers, once fervent and full of faith, now dwindled to whimpers. Above, in the celestial realms, the other gods watched in horror. Their divine visages, usually serene and impassive, were etched with growing alarm. Osiris, the steadfast lord of the underworld, gripped his crook tightly. His brow was furrowed with deep concern. Isis, the wise and nurturing goddess, wrung her hands. Her usual calm demeanor had fractured under the weight of the unfolding tragedy. Her heart ached for the suffering mortals. She pleaded silently for an end to the madness. Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, consulted his ancient scrolls. His usually unwavering gaze now flickered with uncertainty. The prophecies spoke of balance, of order. This unfolding nightmare defied all cosmic law. Horus, the falcon-headed god of kingship, stood tall and defiant. His golden eyes, mirroring his father Osiris, narrowed with a fierce determination. He yearned to intervene, to protect the innocent. Yet, he knew Ra's decree was absolute, but even Ra's divine authority seemed to falter. The sheer scale of Sekhmet's destruction was overwhelming. The world, his beloved creation, was bleeding. Its very essence was being torn asunder. The air in the divine council chamber crackled with tension. The usual harmonious hum of celestial energy had been replaced by a low, anxious thrum. The gods shifted uneasily on their thrones. Their gazes, filled with apprehension, turned repeatedly towards Ra. Father Osiris finally began, his voice a deep, resonant rumble. Look upon your creation. It withers beneath her fiery gaze. Life itself is being extinguished. His tone was respectful, yet laced with an undeniable urgency. Isis stepped forward, her voice soft, but imbued with a powerful plea. Great Ra, cries of the innocent pierce the very fabric of the cosmos. Their fear is palpable. Surely, this retribution has gone too far. Her eyes, filled with compassion, met his. Ra remained silent for a long moment. His golden aura, usually vibrant and strong, seemed to dim slightly. He watched the unfolding devastation through the cosmic veil. The images were stark, brutal. The lands, once green and teeming, were now scarred and desolate. He saw the skeletal remains of forests, their branches reaching like desperate fingers towards a mocking sky. He saw rivers, once shimmering arteries of life, now stagnant pools of red. The once vibrant tapestry of creation was unraveling before his very eyes. A profound weariness settled upon him. He had sought justice, a cleansing. He had wanted to teach humanity a lesson. But this was annihilation. This was not the restoration of order. It was the obliteration of everything. His initial anger, the righteous indignation that had fueled his decision, began to recede. In its place, a cold, heavy dread took root. He remembered the first sunrise, the joy of bringing forth light and life. He recalled the gentle shaping of mountains, the carving of riverbeds. He had breathed life into the first creatures, bestowed consciousness upon humanity. He had watched them grow, stumble, and rise again. He had seen their laughter, their love, their fleeting moments of joy. And now, he saw only their terror, their anguish, their inevitable end. Thoth, ever the observer, spoke with a quiet solemnity. The balance, great Ra, is being irrevocably disturbed. If Sekhmet continues, there will be nothing left to balance. The cosmic scales will tip into an eternal void. His words, though calm, carried the weight of universal truth. Ra closed his eyes, the images of destruction still burning behind his eyelids. He saw the face of a child, no older than a sapling, its small hand clutching a tattered doll. Its eyes, wide with fear, mirrored the despair of a dying world. He had intended a warning, a severe lesson. He had not intended to erase his masterpiece. The thought, cold and sharp, pierced through his divine composure. He had gone too far. He had unleashed a force he could no longer control. Sekhmet, his beloved eye, was a perfect instrument of his will. But her nature was pure, unadulterated fury. She saw only the command, not the nuance, not the limit. She would not stop until her mission was complete, until every last human breath had been extinguished. A wave of profound regret washed over him. It was a bitter taste, unlike any he had known. The weight of his decision pressed down upon him, heavier than 1,000 stars. He felt the cold touch of remorse, a sensation alien to his divine being. He had thought himself righteous, just. He had believed his anger was a necessary fire. But now, seeing the ashes of his creation, he realized the terrible cost of his wrath. He had allowed his retribution to consume his love. The silence in the council chamber was broken only by the distant, echoing roar of Sekhmet. It was a sound of unyielding destruction, a testament to Ra's terrible mistake. The gods watched him, their own fears reflected in his troubled gaze. He opened his eyes, and they were no longer burning with righteous anger. They held a deep, profound sorrow. The golden light that usually emanated from him seemed to dim further, replaced by a somber glow. "She will not stop," Ra murmured, his voice a low, pained whisper. It was a realization that chilled him to his divine core. "My eye, she obeys my initial command. She will cleanse the earth entirely." Hathor, the gentle goddess of love and joy, stepped forward. Her voice, usually light and melodic, was now laced with anguish. "But Father, what will be left? A barren world devoid of laughter, of song, of life. Is this truly your intent?" Her words, soft as they were, struck a chord within Ra. He remembered Hathor's gentle touch, her nurturing spirit. She was the embodiment of the very things Sekhmet was now destroying. He had unleashed the beast, and now the beast consumed all. He had sought to prune the garden, but he had ordered it razed. The realization sat heavy in his heart, a cold, aching void. He had loved his creation. He had cherished the diversity of life, the intricate dance of existence. He had delighted in the beauty of a blossoming flower, the resilience of a tiny beetle. He had found joy in the simple prayers of humanity, and now all of it was fading. The vibrant hues of life were being washed away by a tide of crimson. The harmonious symphony of nature was being replaced by the cacophony of destruction. He saw the fear in the eyes of the remaining animals, their instincts screaming for escape. He saw the last vestiges of plant life shriveling under Sekhmet's fiery breath. The world, his precious world, was dying, and he, Ra, the creator, was the architect of its demise. The bitter irony twisted in his divine gut. He, who had brought forth life, was now presiding over its end. A desperate urgency surged through him. He had to stop her. He had to undo this terrible mistake. But how? Sekhmet was his own power, unleashed and untamed. She was an extension of his will, a perfect reflection of his initial fury. He looked at the other gods, their faces a mixture of sorrow and expectation. They were waiting for his command, for a solution. They were looking to him, the divine Father, to save what remained. But even Ra, the mighty sun god, felt a tremor of fear. He had unleashed a force of pure, unadulterated destruction. How could he recall it? How could he reign in the very essence of his own wrath? The task seemed insurmountable. Sekhmet's rampage was a divine wildfire, consuming everything in its path. Her golden eyes, once symbols of his radiant power, now reflected only the inferno she had wrought. He had to act. He had to find a way. The lifeblood of the world was draining away. The cries of the dying echoed in the cosmic void. He had to stop his beloved eye, even if it meant confronting his own unleashed power. His regret deepened, becoming a profound ache within his divine being. He had allowed his anger to blind him, to overshadow his wisdom. He had been swift in judgment, slow in understanding. He had seen humanity's flaws, their transgressions, but he had forgotten their capacity for growth, their potential for good. He had focused on their darkness, overlooking their light, and now the darkness he had unleashed threatened to engulf everything. He had to save them, even from himself. He had to save his creation, even from his own terrible mistake. The weight of this realization pressed down upon him, heavy and inescapable. He took a deep, shuddering breath, a sound that resonated through the celestial chambers. The gods held their breath, waiting. The fate of the world hung in the balance. Ra, the sun god, the creator, the judge, now faced the ultimate test to undo his own destruction. The sun god, Ra, felt a heavy sorrow. His creation, Sekhmet, raged across the land. Her fury was a terrible, burning wind. Despair settled deep within his divine heart. He watched the devastation from afar. Ra knew he had to act. He had to stop her. But how? He could not destroy his own eye. He could not erase such a powerful part of himself. A new path was needed. He convened a council of the gods. Their faces were grim, etched with worry. Thoth, the wise ibis-headed god, stood tall. His eyes held ancient knowledge. Horus, the falcon-headed protector, was there too. His gaze was steady, though troubled. Hathor, the golden goddess, wept softly. Her tears shimmered like falling stars. Ra addressed them, his voice low and resonant. "My children," he began, "we face a grave crisis." He spoke of Sekhmet's relentless wrath. He spoke of the blood-drenched earth. He spoke of his profound regret. "I unleashed her," he confessed. "I let my anger guide my hand." The other gods listened in silence. No one blamed him. They understood the immense weight of his power. Thoth stepped forward, his voice calm and thoughtful. "Lord Ra," he said, "destruction is not always the answer." He paused, considering his words carefully. "Perhaps there is another way." A flicker of hope ignited in Ra's chest. "Speak, Thoth," he urged. "Share your wisdom." Thoth explained his idea. "Sekhmet thirsts for blood," he stated plainly. "Her rage consumes her." He proposed a trick, a clever deception. They would brew a vast quantity of beer. This beer would be dyed red. It would look exactly like blood. "She will drink it," Thoth predicted. "She will believe it is the very essence she craves." But this special beer would be potent. It would lull her into a deep sleep. It would quiet her terrible rage. A murmur went through the assembled gods. Some were skeptical. Others saw the brilliance of it. Horus nodded slowly, his sharp eyes fixed on Thoth. "A cunning plan," he agreed. "It preserves her, yet stops her." Hathor, drying her tears, looked up. "But how much beer?" she asked softly. "She has spilled so much blood." Thoth smiled faintly. "An immense quantity, dear Hathor," he replied, "enough to fill the entire land. It would require a monumental effort. Every god would have to contribute." Ra's spirit lifted. This was a solution. This was a way to save his daughter. "Then let us begin at once," he commanded. "There is no time to lose." The gods dispersed, each with a task. Osiris, the god of the afterlife, sent forth his servants. They gathered the finest barley. Isis, the goddess of magic, prepared her spells. Her incantations would aid the fermentation. Nephthys, her sister, helped collect the necessary herbs. These herbs would enhance the beer's potency. The brewing began in secret. They chose a hidden valley. It was far from Sekhmet's destructive path. The air there was still. Only the sound of their work disturbed the quiet. Great vats were fashioned from ancient trees. Their wood was strong and deep. The gods worked tirelessly. Their divine energy fueled the effort. They ground the barley into fine meal. They mixed it with pure water. The mash simmered over magical fires. The aroma of brewing filled the valley. It was a sweet, earthy scent. But this beer needed its distinctive color. The gods sought out a special ingredient. They found it in the desert. It was a rare red ochre. This pigment was vibrant and deep. It would mimic the hue of fresh blood. They crushed the ochre into a fine powder. They added it to the fermenting liquid. Slowly, magically, the beer transformed. It turned a rich, dark red. It looked horrifyingly real. It looked like the very essence of life. Thoth oversaw the process. His wisdom guided every step. He ensured the potency was correct. He measured the ingredients precisely. He checked the color constantly. It had to be convincing. The hours stretched into days. Sekhmet's rampage continued. Her roars echoed across the plains. The gods felt the urgency. They worked faster, driven by a shared purpose. Their hands became stained red. Their faces were streaked with sweat. But their resolve remained strong. Hathor sang ancient songs. Her melodies blessed the brewing. They helped the fermentation. They imbued the beer with peace. They wove a lullaby into its very essence. The goddess Circuit, with her scorpion emblem, helped too. She brought potent herbs. These would ensure a deep, peaceful sleep. Her knowledge of plants was unmatched. She knew which ones would calm the fiercest beast. Even Shu, the god of air, contributed. He sent gentle breezes. These breezes helped cool the vats. They ensured the brewing went smoothly. Tefnut, his twin, the goddess of moisture, brought pure dew. This dew added freshness to the mixture. The quantity of beer grew. It filled vat after vat. The valley began to overflow. It looked like a vast, red lake. The sight was both grotesque and beautiful. It was a testament to their desperation. It was a symbol of their hope. Animals, driven from their homes, watched from the hills. They were wary, yet curious. They sensed a shift in the air. They sensed the gods' intent. A flicker of hope stirred within them too. The earth itself seemed to sigh. It had endured so much pain. Now, perhaps, healing was near. The sun beat down, but the gods felt no weariness. Their divine energy sustained them. Their love for creation drove them on. Finally, the brewing was complete. Thousands upon thousands of gallons, enough to cover the land, enough to quench Sekhmet's terrible thirst. The red liquid shimmered under the sun. It looked like a vast, calm ocean. Ra surveyed their work. A deep sense of relief washed over him. "It is done," he pronounced. His voice was filled with gratitude. Now we must deliver it. The challenge remained. How to distribute such a vast quantity? How to ensure Sekhmet drank it all? Thoth had already considered this. He proposed a clever method. They would flood the land with it. They would make it unavoidable. They chose the night for their action. Sekhmet, exhausted from her day's hunt, would be resting. The moon would be full and bright. Its light would illuminate their path. Secrecy was paramount. Sekhmet must not suspect. The gods worked together. They dug channels across the land. They guided the red beer. It flowed like a river. It spread across the plains. It filled the depressions in the earth. The land itself became a crimson sea. The sight was unsettling. It resembled a battlefield. But this was a battle of wits. This was a fight for peace. The red liquid glistened under the moonlight. It reflected the stars. Ra watched from above. His heart pounded with anticipation. He prayed for success. He prayed for his daughter's return. He prayed for an end to the suffering. The air grew heavy with the sweet, intoxicating scent. It wafted across the land. It carried the promise of oblivion. It carried the hope of a new dawn. Sekhmet, deep in her lair, stirred. The scent reached her. It was familiar. It was alluring. It was the scent of blood. Her eyes, still burning with fury, opened. She rose, her powerful form silhouetted against the night sky. She sniffed the air. The scent was everywhere. It drew her out. It called to her. She emerged from her refuge. Her gaze fell upon the land. It was covered in red, a vast, shimmering expanse. Her eyes widened. Her thirst intensified. It was more than she had ever seen. A feast beyond imagining. Her instincts took over. Her rage clouded her judgment. She saw only the promise of satiation. She stalked towards the nearest pool. Her powerful paws left deep imprints. Her lioness's roar, usually terrifying, was now a murmur of anticipation. She lowered her head. She began to drink. The red liquid was cool. It tasted rich. It tasted like life itself. She drank deeply, her thirst seemingly endless. The gods held their breath. They watched from their hidden vantage points. Thoth, serene as ever, observed her. Horus stood ready, his bow unstrung. Hathor whispered prayers. Sekhmet drank and drank. Her belly swelled. The potency of the beer began to take effect. A warmth spread through her limbs. Her eyelids grew heavy. The fury that had consumed her began to recede. It was replaced by a profound drowsiness. Her limbs felt heavy. Her magnificent head drooped. She swayed on her mighty paws. Her roar became a soft purr. She stumbled, then fell. She landed with a soft thud. The ground trembled slightly. She was asleep, a deep, peaceful slumber. The gods breathed a collective sigh of relief. The plan had worked. Sekhmet was finally at rest. The red beer continued to spread. It filled every crevice. It was a silent testament. It was a monument to their ingenuity. It was a symbol of renewed hope. Ra descended from the heavens. He approached his sleeping daughter. Her formidable claws were relaxed. Her sharp teeth were hidden. Her face was serene. He knelt beside her. He gently stroked her head. Her fur was soft beneath his hand. He felt a wave of love for her. His terrible eye now at peace. The moon shone down upon them. It illuminated the scene. The sleeping goddess, the grieving father, the land bathed in red. It was a moment of profound significance. The birds who had fled began to return. Their soft chirps filled the quiet air. The animals emerged from their hiding places. They cautiously approached. They saw Sekhmet. They saw her stillness. They sensed the change. A quiet joy spread through them. The terror was over. The nightmare had ended. The gods gathered around Ra. Their faces showed relief. They had faced a great challenge. They had overcome it with wisdom. They had prevailed with unity. Thoth smiled, a rare expression for him. "She will awaken," he said softly, "but she will be changed. The beer would cleanse her. It would wash away her rage." Ra believed him. He felt it in his heart. His daughter would return to him, not as the destroyer, but as the healer, as the protector. The red beer began to sink into the earth. It nourished the parched soil. It brought life back to the devastated land. Flowers began to bloom. Green shoots emerged. The land slowly transformed. The redness faded. It was replaced by verdant life. The world began to heal, and with it, the hearts of the gods. Sekhmet slept on. Her breathing was deep and even. She dreamed of peace. She dreamed of creation. She dreamed of her true purpose. Ra watched over her. He would remain by her side until she awakened, until she was whole again, until the balance was restored. The air grew cool as dawn approached. A new day was about to begin. A day of healing. A day of renewal. A day of peace. The story of Sekhmet's rampage would be remembered. It would be a lesson in anger's power, a lesson in redemption's grace. And the red beer, made from barley and ochre, would become a legend, a symbol of cleverness, a symbol of compassion, a symbol of hope. The land was quiet once more. Only the gentle sounds of nature remained, and the soft, rhythmic breathing of a sleeping goddess. Peace had returned. The sun, Ra's eye, pulsed its light, a fiery whisper, a silent plea. The gods, assembled on the desert's edge, watched. Their faces, etched with ancient worries, reflected the crimson glow. This was their desperate gamble, their final, fragile hope. Thoth, the moon-headed sage, raised a hand. His voice, a low rumble, echoed across the sand. Now, he whispered, the moment is upon us. Hathor, goddess of joy, her lioness aspect still dormant, stepped forward. She held a vast, shimmering bowl. Inside, the ruby liquid swirled a potent brew of beer and ochre. Its scent, sweet and cloying, hung heavy in the still air. Beside her, Shu, god of air, grasped a massive amphora. It was filled to the brim. Its contents, a darker, richer hue, promised oblivion. Nephthys, goddess of rivers, and Isis, queen of magic, joined them. Each carried vessels, overflowing with the deceptive elixir. They moved with practiced grace. Their movements, a slow, deliberate dance. The desert floor, hard-packed and ancient, awaited its transformation. This was not a ritual of praise. This was a desperate act of preservation. The first golden trickle emerged. It flowed from Hathor's bowl. It painted the sand, a vibrant, shocking red. The color spread, seeping into the thirsty earth. It expanded, a silent, crimson tide. Shu, with a mighty heave, tilted his amphora. A torrent of liquid, dark and deep, gushed forth. It mingled with Hathor's offering. The hues blended, creating a tapestry of scarlet and maroon. The air itself seemed to hum. Nephthys, her eyes fixed on the horizon, poured her share. It created small, winding rivulets. They snaked across the landscape. They resembled veins, pulsing with a terrible life. Isis, with a quiet incantation, added her potent brew. It shimmered with an unseen energy. The gods worked in unison. Their efforts, a symphony of liquid release. The desert, once barren, became a canvas. It was painted in shades of deepest red. The air grew thick. It was heavy with the sweet, intoxicating perfume of the beer. The ground absorbed the liquid. It drank deeply, greedily. But there was so much. The pools grew. They became small lakes of crimson. They reflected the anxious faces of the gods. The deception was almost complete. Sekhmet, the raging lioness, was near. Her roars, a constant, chilling reminder. They echoed across the scorching plains. Each roar, a tremor in the very fabric of existence. Her bloodlust, unsated, drove her forward. The gods continued their work. Their hands, stained red, moved tirelessly. They worked against the relentless march of time. They worked against the impending arrival of the destroyer. Their hope, a fragile thing, depended on this trick. The red pool spread. They merged, forming a vast, undulating sea. It stretched as far as the eye could see. The illusion was perfect. It was a macabre, beautiful spectacle. It was ready for its unsuspecting victim. A distant tremor vibrated through the ground. It grew stronger. The dust, disturbed by massive paws, rose in angry clouds. Sekhmet was coming. Her hunger, a palpable force, preceded her. The gods retreated. They moved to the safety of a rocky outcrop. Their hearts pounded. They watched, holding their breath. This was the moment of truth. This was the culmination of their desperate plan. Sekhmet emerged from the swirling dust. Her eyes, twin furnaces, scanned the horizon. Her great mane, matted with the blood of her victims, bristled. Her fangs, long and sharp, dripped with ancient fury. Then she saw it. The vast, shimmering expanse. The ocean of crimson. Her roars, which had been a symphony of destruction, faltered. A low growl, a rumble of pure, unadulterated hunger, replaced them. She saw the color. It was the color of life. It was the color of death. It was the color of the blood she craved. Her ravaged senses, dulled by her endless rampage, perceived only one thing. This was a feast. She bounded forward. Her powerful legs, scarred and tireless, carried her swiftly. Her great paws, once instruments of swift justice, now crushed the very ground beneath them. She plunged into the red expanse. The liquid splashed around her. It soaked into her fur. It clung to her whiskers. She lowered her massive head. Her tongue, rough and eager, lapped at the deceptive brew. She drank. The taste, sweet and unexpected, surprised her. But her bloodlust, an insatiable fire, overrode all else. She drank deeply. She drank greedily. She drank as though her very existence depended on it. The gods watched. Their faces, pale with apprehension, betrayed their inner turmoil. Would it work? Would the trick succeed? The fate of all creation hung in the balance. Sekhmet drank on. The liquid, cold and refreshing, flowed down her throat. Her body, weary from endless slaughter, craved sustenance. She believed she had found it. She believed she had found the ultimate feast. The effects were subtle at first. A slight swaying of her massive frame. A momentary pause in her frenzied consumption. Then, a deeper, more profound change. Her eyes, once burning with unholy fire, began to glaze over. She continued to drink. Her movements, once precise and deadly, grew clumsy. The red liquid, no longer just a thirst quencher, became a heavy weight. It filled her belly. It dulled her senses. Her roars, once thunderous, softened. They became guttural murmurs. Her powerful legs, which had carried her through endless carnage, began to buckle. The world, once a clear target for her wrath, began to spin. The gods watched, mesmerized. Their breaths, held captive in their chests, were finally released. A collective sigh, soft and hopeful, rippled through their ranks. The trick was working. Sekhmet stumbled. Her great head, heavy with the deceptive brew, lolled. She tried to roar, but only a faint, sleepy growl escaped her throat. The potent mixture had begun its work. Her body, once taut with fury, began to relax. Her muscles, forever tensed for the next kill, softened. Her fangs, once bared in a perpetual snarl, receded slightly. The lioness was succumbing. She swayed again. Her eyes, half closed, struggled to focus. The world, a blur of red and gold, swam before her. The delicious, intoxicating liquid pulled her down. Its embrace was inescapable. Finally, with a mighty sigh, Sekhmet collapsed. Her massive body, a mountain of fur and muscle, sank into the crimson lake. The liquid rippled around her. It cradled her. It held her captive. A deep, resonant snore escaped her lips. Then another, and another. The sound, once a terrifying prelude to death, was now a lullaby. It was a lullaby of peace. It was a lullaby of relief. The gods emerged from their hiding place. Their steps, hesitant at first, grew bolder. They approached the sleeping lioness. Their faces, once etched with fear, now bore expressions of cautious hope. Ra, the great creator, descended from the heavens. His light, usually blinding, softened. He gazed upon his daughter. His heart, heavy with sorrow, now felt a flicker of warmth. The trick had worked. He stood over Sekhmet. Her breathing, deep and even, filled the silent desert. Her powerful paws, once instruments of destruction, lay still. Her face, usually contorted with rage, was peaceful. Ra extended a hand. A soft, golden light emanated from his palm. It enveloped Sekhmet. It bathed her in its gentle glow. The transformation had begun. It was a slow, deliberate process. The fierce red of her fur softened. It became a lighter, more ethereal golden hue. Her sharp claws, once weapons, subtly receded. Her fangs, symbols of her destructive power, seemed to shrink. Her powerful muscles, once rigid with fury, relaxed further. Her expression, once one of eternal wrath, began to shift. A serenity, delicate and profound, settled upon her features. The lioness, the destroyer, was fading. In her place, a new being was emerging. A goddess of grace, a goddess of beauty, a goddess of love. The metamorphosis was truly wondrous. The golden light intensified. It swirled around Sekhmet. It cocooned her in its warm embrace. The desert, once a scene of carnage, became a sanctuary. It became a place of profound change. The gods watched in silent awe. This was not just a physical transformation. This was a spiritual rebirth. This was the healing of a wounded soul. This was the ultimate redemption. Slowly, gently, Sekhmet stirred. Her eyelids, heavy with sleep, fluttered open. Her eyes, once burning with destructive fire, were now soft. They were filled with a gentle, golden light. She stretched. Her movements, once abrupt and powerful, were now fluid. They were graceful. A soft purr, unlike the guttural growls of before, escaped her lips. It was a sound of contentment. She rose. Her form, no longer that of a fearsome lioness, was now that of a magnificent woman. Her skin, the color of warm gold, shimmered. Her hair, a cascade of dark, flowing locks, framed her serene face. Her eyes, large and expressive, surveyed the landscape. There was no rage. There was no fury. There was only a quiet understanding, a profound sense of peace. She looked at the gods. Her gaze, once filled with menace, was now warm. It was filled with recognition. She saw Thoth. She saw Shu. She saw Nephthys and Isis. She saw Ra. A soft smile bloomed on her lips. It was a smile of pure joy. It was a smile of pure love. It was a smile of profound gratitude. The transformation was complete. Sekhmet, the destroyer, was gone. In her place stood Hathor, the benevolent goddess, the goddess of love, the goddess of joy, the goddess of music and dance. Her heart, once consumed by wrath, now overflowed with compassion. She extended her hand. It was a gesture of peace. It was a gesture of reconciliation. It was a gesture of boundless love. The gods, their hearts overflowing with relief, approached her. Ra smiled. His light, once a symbol of his power, was now a gentle caress. He embraced his daughter. His touch, filled with paternal love, solidified her new form. Hathor, her new name a whispered promise, looked at the world. It was no longer a canvas for destruction. It was a tapestry of beauty. It was a testament to life. She inhaled deeply. The air, no longer thick with the scent of blood, was sweet. It was filled with the perfume of blooming flowers. It was filled with the promise of a new dawn. Her presence, once a harbinger of doom, now radiated warmth. It radiated healing. It radiated boundless joy. The land, scarred by her rampage, seemed to sigh in relief. The red pools, remnants of the trick, began to recede. They sank back into the earth. They left behind only rich, fertile soil. The desert, once a place of death, was reborn. Hathor, the transformed goddess, looked at Ra. Her eyes, filled with profound gratitude, conveyed a silent message. Her past, a dark blur, was behind her. Her future, bright and promising, lay ahead. The gods rejoiced. Their laughter, light and free, echoed across the land. The threat was averted. The world was saved, and a new goddess, born of compassion, had risen. Hathor walked among them. Her steps, light and graceful, left no trace. Her presence, a balm to their weary souls, brought comfort. She radiated peace. She radiated serenity. The sun began its slow descent. Its golden rays, long and lingering, painted the sky. They painted it in hues of orange and pink. The day, which had begun with terror, ended in tranquility. Hathor, the embodiment of love, looked towards the horizon. A new era had dawned. An era of peace. An era of harmony. An era guided by the gentle hand of compassion. Her heart, once a cauldron of rage, now pulsed with tenderness. Her purpose, once destruction, was now creation. Her essence, once fear, was now love. The transformation was complete. The world was safe, and a goddess, reborn, embraced her destiny. The quiet settled first, a soft, deep hush. It draped over the land like a velvet cloth. The air, once thick with fury, now smelled of cool earth and fresh rain. Dawn's first light painted the sky in gentle hues of rose and gold. A new day truly began. It dawned without the shadow of Sekhmet's wrath. A profound stillness lingered. It was a stillness of healing. The world seemed to breathe a collective, relieved sigh. Hathor, now radiant and serene, gazed upon the quieted world. Her eyes, once blazing, held the calm of a summer lake. A gentle smile touched her lips. It was a smile of understanding, a smile of profound peace. She felt a kinship with the nascent dawn. She felt the promise of a new beginning. Her heart, once burdened with destructive power, now overflowed with compassion. It was a boundless, tender compassion. Ra, watching her, felt a deep wellspring of love. His ancient eyes softened. He saw not the terrifying lioness, but his beloved daughter. He saw the embodiment of joy and artistry. He approached her slowly. His steps were measured, they were deliberate. He extended a hand, not in command, but in tender affection. Hathor took it, her touch light and warm. "My daughter," Ra's voice was a low murmur. It was like the distant hum of bees. "The world breathes again because of you." His words were filled with gratitude. They were filled with pride. Hathor inclined her head. "Father," she replied, her voice melodious. It was like the chime of tiny bells. "The world breathes because of your wisdom." She offered him a look of pure devotion, a look of deep respect. Together, they stood upon a high prominence. The vast landscape stretched before them. It lay wounded, yet ready for restoration. The scars of the past were visible. They were stark reminders. Ra turned to Hathor. "Now, my dear one, is the time for healing." His voice held a quiet command. "Your touch brings solace. Your presence brings comfort." He entrusted her with a sacred task, a vital mission. Hathor nodded, a serene acceptance in her bearing. She understood her new purpose. It flowed through her veins like a gentle river. She was the balm for a bruised world. She descended from the heights. Her steps were light. They were almost ethereal. She walked among the people who still huddled in fear. Their faces were etched with weariness. They were etched with despair. Her presence was a subtle shift. It was a warmth in the chill air. It was a soft glow in the dim light. A sense of calm radiated from her. It was an undeniable aura. The first person she encountered was an old woman. Her eyes were hollow. They were filled with sorrow. Her village had been ravaged, her family scattered. She sat alone, weeping softly. Hathor knelt beside her. Her touch was featherlight on the old woman's shoulder. "Peace, grandmother," Hathor murmured. Her voice was pure comfort. It was pure solace. As Hathor spoke, a strange warmth spread through the old woman. It was a soothing heat. It was a gentle glow. Her trembling ceased. Her tears slowed. They eventually stopped. The sorrow in her eyes began to recede. A flicker of hope ignited. It was a tiny flame, yet it was persistent. She looked at Hather, bewildered, yet grateful. Hather offered a small, reassuring smile. "The sun will rise again," she promised. "Life will return, joy will blossom." Her words were simple, yet they carried immense power. The old woman, strengthened by Hather's presence, slowly rose. She felt a renewed sense of purpose. She felt a flicker of courage. She looked towards the horizon, where the sun was now truly ascending. Word of Hather's gentle influence spread. It moved like a quiet breeze. It touched every corner of the land. People, once paralyzed by fear, began to stir. They saw her moving among them. She offered kind words. She offered soft touches. She brought comfort to the grieving. She brought courage to the despairing. Hather did not command. She did not demand. She simply was asterisk. Her very being was a source of healing. Her essence was pure, unconditional love. Ra watched from above. A profound satisfaction filled his being. He saw the wisdom of his choice. He saw the transformative power of compassion. He had learned a profound lesson. Power, unchecked, leads to devastation. Love, nurtured, leads to restoration. His heart swelled with paternal pride. He began to guide humanity himself, not with thunder and lightning, but with gentle whispers. He sent dreams of fertile fields. He sent visions of flowing rivers. He reminded them of the bounty of the earth. He reminded them of the strength of community. He encouraged them to rebuild, to reestablish life. Humans, chastened by their ordeal, listened. They had witnessed the terrifying power of a god's wrath. They had experienced the fragility of their existence. They learned humility. They understood their place in the grand design. They realized the importance of gratitude. Every sunrise was a blessing, every rainfall a gift. They looked at each other with new eyes. The old animosities seemed trivial. The old rivalries felt meaningless. They had faced true destruction. They had faced annihilation. They began to help one another. Hands that had once fought now clasped in solidarity. Voices that had once argued now spoke in comfort. A new spirit of cooperation emerged. The rebuilding began slowly, one stone at a time, one brick upon another. Homes rose from the rubble, walls stood tall once more. The sounds of hammers echoed. The sounds of chisels sang. These were not sounds of war, but of creation. They were the sounds of hope. Hather continued her work. She touched the parched earth with her bare feet. Where she walked, tiny shoots of green appeared. Flowers bloomed in her wake. She sang songs of joy. Her melodies were pure. They were enchanting. They soothed the weary souls of the people. They inspired them to dance. She taught them new crafts. She showed them how to weave beautiful tapestries. She guided their hands in shaping pottery. She inspired them to create art. She brought laughter back. It bubbled up from deep within. It echoed through the freshly built streets. Children's joyous shouts filled the air. Ra observed all this. His heart was light. The world was not just rebuilding, it was transforming. It was becoming something better. He saw the respect in the human's eyes. It was not fear, it was reverence. It was a deep, abiding gratitude. They understood the gods' power. They also understood their compassion. They saw Ra not just as a mighty ruler. They saw him as a loving father. They saw him as a protector. The temples, once neglected, were restored. They were built with care. They were adorned with beauty. Offerings were made from the heart. Prayers were spoken with sincerity. The Nile, once choked with debris, flowed freely. Its waters were clear. They were life-giving. The fields along its banks became verdant. They promised abundant harvests. Life returned to its rhythm. But it was a different rhythm. It was a more harmonious beat. It was a gentler flow. The sun set each evening. Its colors were vibrant. They were breathtaking. It was a promise of another dawn. It was a symbol of renewal. Hathor often sat with the people. She listened to their stories. She shared in their simple meals. She was one of them, yet she was divine. Her presence was a constant reminder. It was a reminder of beauty. It was a reminder of love. It was a reminder of resilience. Ra would sometimes join her. He would sit among the humans. He would listen to their songs. He would watch their dances. He saw the joy in their faces. He saw the peace in their hearts. He saw the future unfolding. It was a bright, hopeful future. The air was often filled with music. Harps plucked gentle melodies. Flutes sang sweet tunes. Drums beat a soft, rhythmic pulse. Children played in the streets. Their laughter was infectious. They built sand castles. They chased butterflies. Their innocence was a balm. The elders shared wisdom. They recounted the past. They spoke of the transformation. They taught the young ones about humility. They taught them about gratitude. They spoke of Sekhmet's fury. They spoke of Hathor's grace. They spoke of Ra's ultimate mercy. Their stories were lessons. The new era was marked by peace. It was marked by understanding. It was marked by mutual respect. It was a time of true harmony. The gods and humans lived in balance. Each understood their role. Each honored the other's existence. It was a symbiotic relationship. The land healed slowly. The scars faded. New life blossomed everywhere. It was a testament to endurance. Hathor's temples rose. They were filled with songs and dances. They were filled with offerings of joy. They celebrated life itself. Ra's presence was felt. It was in the warmth of the sun. It was in the cool of the moon. It was in the very breath of life. The memory of Sekhmet's rage persisted. It was a cautionary tale. It was a reminder of the consequences of imbalance. It was a lesson learned, but it was overshadowed by Hathor's love. It was softened by Ra's mercy. It was transformed by humanity's resilience. It was a story of hope. The rivers flowed like liquid silver. The trees rustled with gentle whispers. The stars twinkled like distant jewels. The world was at peace. This peace was hard-won. It was forged in fire. It was bathed in compassion. It was built on understanding. And so the land thrived once more. It was a vibrant tapestry of life. It was a testament to forgiveness. It was a testament to renewal. Hathor, the embodiment of joy, watched over them. Her heart was full. Her purpose was clear. She was the light of the new dawn. Ra, the wise father, guided them. His love was boundless. His wisdom was profound. He was the guardian of balance. And humanity, humbled and grateful, lived on. They honored the gods. They cherished each other. They built a world of harmony. The era of peace had truly begun. It was a golden age. It was a time of flourishing. It was a legacy of love. This was the quiet triumph. This was the gentle victory. This was the restoration. This was the new beginning. Ra watched over his revitalized land. Centuries had unfolded like lotus petals, each unfurling to reveal new layers of beauty and understanding. Each dawn brought forth new wonders, painting the sky with hues of rose and gold before pouring its light over the fertile plains. The Nile, now a ribbon of silver under the morning sun, flowed with peaceful abundance, its current a steady, comforting pulse through the heart of the land. Its waters shimmered under the sun's golden gaze, reflecting the azure sky and the occasional passing ibis. Fields of papyrus grew tall and green along its banks, their feathery tops swaying in unison with the soft river breeze, a verdant fringe against the rich, dark soil. Lush date palms, their sturdy trunks etched with the passage of time, swayed gently, their broad leaves rustling like whispered ancient secrets, tales of epochs long past, of the sun's journey and the river's timeless flow. The air, warm and heavy, with the scent of damp earth and blooming jasmine, hummed with life. Children, their skin the color of sun-baked clay, played by the riverbanks, their small hands splashing in the cool, clear water. Their laughter, light and unburdened, echoed sweetly across the fields, a joyous symphony that mingled with the gentle hum of industrious bees flitting among the lotus blossoms. Life thrived in every corner, from the smallest beetle scuttling in the sand to the soaring hawk circling high above, a testament to the renewed vitality of creation. Hathor, his beloved daughter, moved through this vibrant landscape with a grace that mirrored the river's flow. Her presence brought joy to all, a palpable warmth that radiated from her very being. She danced through sun-dappled groves, where the light filtered through the leaves in shifting patterns, painting the ground in mosaics of gold and shadow. Music, an intrinsic part of her spirit, flowed from her very being, a melody that uplifted and soothed. The lyre's soft melody, strung with threads of moonlight and starlight, followed her like a gentle companion. It wove through the air like silk, caressing everything it touched. Birds, their plumage bright against the green foliage, sang along in cheerful chorus, their trills and chirps harmonizing perfectly with Hather's ethereal tune. Even the wind, a playful spirit, seemed to hum in agreement, carrying the sweet strains far and wide. She was the embodiment of love, a boundless wellspring of compassion. Her touch healed weary souls, mending the invisible tears in their spirits, leaving them whole and refreshed. She brought comfort to troubled hearts, her gentle words like balm, easing anxieties and fears. Hather taught the people kindness, not through stern decree, but by example, her every action a lesson in empathy. She showed them how to forgive, reminding them that holding on to anger only poisoned one's own heart. Her wisdom was gentle and profound, resonating deeply within them, like the steady beat of a drum, guiding their steps towards a more harmonious existence. Ra often observed her work, a quiet pride swelling within him. He saw his own lessons reflected, not as rigid rules, but as fluid, living principles. His daughter had truly blossomed, growing into a deity of immense grace and understanding, far exceeding even his own expectations. The memory of Sekhmet still lingered, a somber, distant echo from a time of near annihilation. It was a scar, yes, but a vital one. It served a crucial purpose, a constant reminder of balance, of the fine line between divine power and destructive rage. Justice must be tempered with mercy, a lesson he had learned at an immense cost. Power needed careful handling, like a precious, fragile flame. Even a god with boundless might could err greatly, could unleash devastation beyond imagining. Humility, he now knew, was a sacred virtue, a cornerstone of true wisdom. The tale of the red beer continued to be told, transcending mere story to become a foundational myth, woven into the very fabric of their culture. Mothers told it to their children in hushed tones as twilight deepened, explaining the sun's mercy. Grandparents shared it with reverence around crackling fires, their voices low and steady, emphasizing the importance of second chances. It spoke of divine fury, of a power so vast it threatened to unmake creation. It spoke of a second chance, not just for humanity, but for the fierce goddess herself. It spoke of redemption's sweet taste, a flavor more profound than any nectar. The lesson, etched into their collective consciousness, was never forgotten. The fear was replaced with understanding, the terror with a deep, abiding gratitude. The people built grand temples, their white stone structures gleaming under the sun, reaching towards the heavens. They honored Ra with devotion, their hymns rising like incense. His light warmed their very existence, nurturing their crops and illuminating their hearts. His wisdom guided their paths, a steady beacon in the vastness of time. They remembered Sekhmet's rage, her terrifying power, a force that could scorch the earth. They cherished the peace that followed, a gift beyond measure, a testament to divine grace. Ra's rule was benevolent indeed, a stark contrast to the distant memory of his initial, harsher reign. He had learned from his mistakes, his heart now softer, his judgment more nuanced, imbued with a profound empathy born of experience. He spent quiet moments reflecting, often by the river's edge as the day faded. The desert wind murmured softly, carrying whispers of past events, of the world brought to the brink. He remembered his own fear, a cold knot in his divine being, as Sekhmet's fury threatened to consume everything. He had acted out of desperation, a desperate gamble to save his beloved creation. But desperation had led to insight, a profound awakening. It had shown him a new path, not of unyielding authority, but of compassionate guidance. He saw the fragility of life, its delicate beauty, and valued its preciousness more than ever before. He understood the need for limits, even for boundless power. He learned to listen more closely, not just to the prayers of his people, but to the subtle rhythms of the universe. He learned to trust his heart, to allow compassion to temper his judgment. Hather's presence was a constant comfort, like a gentle, flowing stream. Her gentle counsel soothed him, her words like cool water on a parched throat. They often spoke of the past, not to dwell on sorrow, but to draw lessons. They discussed the future's promise, envisioning a world of enduring harmony. Father, Hather would say softly, her voice like tinkling bells, echoing with the purity of spring water. The world flourishes under your gaze. It is a testament to your wisdom and your love. Her eyes, deep pools of warm light, shone with affection, reflecting the boundless devotion she felt. "It is your light, my dear," Ra replied, his voice warm and deep, resonating with paternal pride. "Your compassion nourishes it, Hather. You are the embodiment of the peace we fought so hard to achieve." He cherished their quiet talks, these moments of shared understanding. "The lesson endures, Father," she continued, her gaze sweeping across the verdant landscape, a silent acknowledgement of the life teeming within it. Sekhmet's story reminds us of the delicate balance, of the ever-present need for grace. It guards against arrogance, against the belief that power alone is enough. Ra nodded slowly, a profound understanding settling over him. He gazed out at the sun-drenched land, the green fields stretching endlessly towards the horizon, a vibrant tapestry of life. The river sparkled like scattered jewels, a lifeline through the heart of his creation. "Indeed, Hather," he affirmed, his voice laced with the wisdom of ages. "It is a constant reminder of the interwoven lives, of the delicate balance that sustains all." He thought of the intricate web of existence, of how one action could ripple outwards, affecting everything. The sun set in fiery splendor, painting the western sky with audacious strokes of orange, crimson, and deep purple. Hues bled into one another, dissolving the day's sharp edges into a soft, dreamlike blur. Stars began to emerge slowly, one by one, like scattered diamonds flung across a velvet cloth, their distant light a promise of cosmic order. Night brought a gentle coolness, a welcome respite from the day's warmth. The air was soft and fragrant, carrying the sweet scent of night-blooming jasmine from hidden gardens and the earthy aroma of damp soil. Crickets, hidden among the reeds, chirped their lullabies, a rhythmic chorus that lulled the world to sleep. The world slept soundly now, cradled in the embrace of twilight. Peace reigned supreme across the land, a deep, pervasive serenity. The echoes of an ancient struggle, of rage and desperation, faded into the distant past like a dream at dawn. Only harmony remained, a quiet, profound presence. Generation after generation thrived, their lives unfolding in peaceful prosperity. They lived under Ra's watchful eye, his benevolent presence a constant comfort. They honored Hather's loving spirit, her boundless compassion a guiding light. Their lives were filled with purpose, dedicated to farming the rich land, crafting beautiful objects, and raising their families in peace. The temples glowed faintly in the moonlight, their white stone catching the silvery light. Torches, strategically placed, cast flickering shadows that danced across ancient hieroglyphs. Priests, robed in white linen, chanted ancient hymns, their voices rising to the heavens in melodious waves, a sacred offering to the divine. They invoked Ra's name with reverence, their prayers filled with gratitude for his enduring wisdom and protection. They celebrated Hather's kindness, her boundless love, and her joyful spirit. They remembered Sekhmet's transformation, not as a tale of terror, but as a story of hope, of the capacity for change, even in the fiercest heart. It was a testament to change, a profound truth whispered from one generation to the next. Even the fiercest heart could soften, given compassion and understanding. Even the darkest rage could yield to redemption, transformed into a force for good. Love, they learned, could conquer all, even the most destructive impulses. Ra's wisdom became legendary, permeating every aspect of life, from the smallest family dispute to the grandest state decree. His laws were just and fair, reflecting the balance he had learned to embody. His judgments were always considered, weighed with compassion and understanding, never impulsive. He understood the human spirit, its strengths and its weaknesses, its capacity for both great good and great error. He guided them with a gentle hand, fostering their growth patiently, allowing them to learn and evolve at their own pace. The people built beautiful homes, adorned with intricate carvings and vibrant paintings, reflecting their creativity and joy. Their villages prospered greatly, growing into bustling towns where trade flourished and knowledge was shared. Artisans crafted exquisite jewels from gold and lapis lazuli, each piece a miniature work of art. Farmers harvested abundant crops from the fertile earth, their granaries overflowing with grain, dates, and figs. They sang songs of gratitude as they worked, their voices filling the air with melodious thanks. They danced in joyous celebration during festivals, their movements reflecting the exuberance of life. Life was a precious gift to be cherished and celebrated in every moment. Hather's temples were always full, adorned with fresh flowers and fragrant offerings of fruit and incense. People sought her gentle guidance, their hearts heavy with worries or overflowing with joy. They found solace in her presence, a comforting embrace that eased their burdens. She was the goddess of music, her melodies soothing all pain, lifting spirits with their ethereal beauty. She was the goddess of joy, her spirit contagious, sparking laughter and celebration wherever she went. She was the goddess of love, her embrace warm and tender, reminding them of the power of connection. She taught them to cherish beauty in all its forms, from a simple wildflower to a magnificent sunset. She showed them life's simple pleasures, reminding them that true happiness lay in gratitude and connection. The story of the red beer was told and retold, echoing through the ages, a timeless narrative. It was a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked power. It was a beacon of light, highlighting the transformative power of mercy and compassion. It warned against unchecked power, reminding them that even the greatest strength required wisdom and restraint. It celebrated divine intervention, the moment when destruction was averted by an act of profound grace. It highlighted the power of compassion, the ultimate force for healing and transformation. It etched itself into their souls, becoming an indelible part of their heritage. Ra often walked among his people unseen, yet ever present, his essence woven into the fabric of their lives. He felt their quiet contentment, their peaceful existence, radiating from them like warmth. Their happiness was his greatest reward, a reflection of the harmony he had helped create. He saw the children's bright eyes, sparkling with curiosity and joy. He heard their innocent laughter echoing through the streets, a sound more precious than any jewel. He felt the warmth of their faith, a gentle, unwavering trust that nourished his own spirit. His heart swelled with love, a profound, all-encompassing affection for his creation. He had once known despair, a chilling emptiness that threatened to consume him. He had faced ultimate destruction, the terrifying possibility of his world being unmade. But he had chosen a different path, a path of mercy over wrath, of transformation over vengeance. The transformation was complete, not just Sekhmet S, but his own. He had evolved as a deity, shedding the rigidities of his past. He had grown in profound ways, becoming a more compassionate, understanding, and benevolent ruler. The world bloomed under his care, a vibrant testament to his learning, a living monument to his wisdom. It was a paradise renewed, a testament to the power of forgiveness and the triumph of love. Hather's influence spread far, her gentle touch evident in every act of kindness, every song sung, every festival celebrated. She inspired artists and poets, filling their creations with beauty and emotion. She guided lovers and friends, fostering bonds of affection and understanding. Her festivals were vibrant, filled with color and sound, echoing with laughter and music. People danced beneath the stars, their movements free and joyful. They celebrated life's abundant blessings, reveling in the simple joy of existence. The memory of the past faded, the fear transformed into reverence for the lessons learned. The lessons became ingrained deeply, shaping their very culture, their values, and their way of life. The balance was finally struck. Justice and mercy intertwined, like two threads woven into a single, strong cord. Power and compassion coexisted, guiding principles for their society. Harmony was the guiding principle, a symphony of peace. Ra's reign was eternal, his light never dimmed, a constant source of warmth and guidance. His wisdom continued to grow, expanding with each passing age. He was the benevolent father, watching over his children with endless love. Hathor remained by his side, a beacon of love and grace, her presence a comforting balm. She was the gentle mother, her spirit uplifting all who sought her solace. The story of Sekhmet endured, a whisper of caution, reminding them of the fragility of peace. It was a roar of redemption, a powerful testament to the possibility of change. It was a myth for all time, a story that transcended generations. It taught them humility, reminding them that even the greatest beings could err. It taught them gratitude for the peace they enjoyed. It taught them forgiveness, the ultimate act of healing. It taught them lasting peace, a state of being achieved through balance and compassion. The stars twinkled above them, a vast, glittering expanse. The moon cast its silvery glow, painting the world in soft shades of gray and white. The river flowed ever onward, a timeless current carrying whispers of ancient tales, of gods and mortals, of lessons learned and wisdom gained. The world slept in tranquil peace, protected by divine wisdom, guided by enduring love. A new dawn always awaited, promising another day of life and growth. Ra closed his eyes softly, a profound sense of contentment filling his divine being. The world was safe, vibrant, and alive. His work was truly done for now, and the peace he had fostered was his greatest achievement. His breath was the gentle breeze that rustled the papyrus. His heartbeat was the river's slow, steady flow. His spirit was the sun's warmth, nurturing all life. He was one with his creation, utterly intertwined with the world he had nurtured. Hathor's lullaby filled the air, a melody woven from starlight and moonbeams. It soothed every living thing, from the smallest sleeping ant to the children dreaming by the river. It promised sweet dreams and restful slumber, a melody of peace that settled over the land, the quiet hum of the universe, a symphony of stillness enveloped everything. A world cradled in gentle hands, drifting into peaceful slumber, safe and secure. The story had reached its end, its narrative arc complete. But its lessons would live forever, carried on the wind, etched in the stars, passed down through generations. A timeless tale of transformation, of the enduring power of love and forgiveness. Sleep now, little one, wrapped in your softest blanket. Dream of ancient lands, of towering pyramids and flowing rivers. Dream of gods and goddesses, of their wisdom and their love. Dream of lessons learned and peace found, a peace that echoes in your own heart. The world sleeps with you, nestled in quiet slumber. Under Ra's gentle gaze, his light a protective warmth. Wrapped in Hathor's loving embrace, her melody a sweet lullaby. Until the new dawn breaks, bringing with it fresh possibilities. Rest deeply and dream sweetly. The universe watches over you, an infinite blanket of stars. All is well, and all is calm. Peace surrounds you always, a gentle cocoon of serenity. May your dreams be filled with light, illuminating the path ahead. May your sleep be deep and sound, replenishing your spirit. The ancient stories keep watch, their wisdom guiding you through the night, a silent, comforting presence. The stars are your blanket, shimmering above you. The moon is your nightlight, casting a soft, silvery glow. The whisper of the wind, a gentle lullaby, murmuring sweet dreams. You are safe, loved, and at peace. Drift deeper now into soft, warm slumber. Your body is heavy, your mind is quiet. The world is quiet outside your window, and so are you, nestled in your bed. Let go of all thought, all worries, all the day's activities. Let your body relax, sinking deeper into the mattress. Your eyelids are heavy, gently closing. Your breathing is slow and even, a peaceful rhythm. Sink into the mattress, feel. If these whispers brought you rest, you're welcome to subscribe for more calm tales. A gentle, like also guides fellow night owls here.